Buenos días, buenas tardes y buenas noches. Otra vez, bienvenidos a todos. Welcome all to the Spanish Nerd Livestream número 32, number 32. We have so many so far. And hoy el tema se trata o se dedica a los mejores recursos para aprender español. So the best Spanish learning resources. And before we talk about that, one thing I would like to discuss is what we all did this past week. What have we, or what goals have we reached this past week, or what have we learned in general? So for me, ¿qué he aprendido? I learned what WASP was in Spanish. I didn't know what WASP was until yesterday. I don't know why. I knew what bee was, which is abeja. I didn't know what wasp was, which is avispa. But I've heard it before in many songs, but I never knew what it meant. So that's one thing I've learned. Another one is un platillo, Mexican dish called jalisciense. It's a word that's very difficult for me to pronounce. Jonathan Gonzalez, hola y bienvenidos de Colombia. Muchas gracias por venir. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining. Y Araca. Actually, I never heard that name before. I don't know how to pronounce it either. Araca. Arauca? ¿Cómo se pronuncia esta ciudad? O no sé si es una ciudad o departamento o lo que sea, o un estado. Pero le doy la bienvenida. Muchas gracias por uniendo a esta live stream. And for those who are coming in, make sure that you like this live stream and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it. So, also let me know where you are from. De qué país es usted? What country you are from? Also, how long you have been learning Spanish for? ¿Por cuánto tiempo has aprendido español? Or if you are already a native Spanish speaker, how long have you been learning other languages for? Because I know we usually get some language learners from all over the world. So it's pretty nice. Thank you very much. Déjame saber esto en la cajita aquí. ¿De dónde es usted? Yo soy de los Estados Unidos y también actualmente estoy viviendo en los Estados Unidos. So right now I'm living in the USA, the United States, and I've been learning Spanish. I like to say I started about, déjame ver, today, like 13 years is when I started, but I've not been learning technically for that long consistently. I say for about more like 4 years consistently. Nope, 3 years. I'll take that back. About, let's see, 2020, 2019, 2020, all 2020, 2020, 21, 22. So coming on like 4 years. Yeshua, Amishak Servant, hola, soy padre español por 2 meses. Por 2 meses, excelente. Me alegro mucho que hayas empezado. O que hayas empezado. That is great. 2 months. The beginnings are always really fun. I like the beginning of language learning a lot. Also, déjame saber how many resources you are using as well. So 3 questions for you. ¿De dónde es usted? Where are you from? Y también, ¿por cuánto tiempo has estudiado español? How long have you been learning Spanish for? Let me know that in la cajita aquí in the chat over here on the side. Or for me, it's on the side. For you, maybe in a different location. Depending on if you're on your computer, if you're on your phone. So maybe a little bit different. And thankfully, I don't see how many resources I'm using. Actually, I'm kind of using a lot, so I'm probably not the best example for resource as far as like the quantity of resource. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Pero el tema de hoy es los recursos de español. So today I want to talk about the best Spanish learning resources because I know that can be quite tricky for many language learners, Spanish learners specifically, as far as what to use, what's good to use, what's not good to use, all that good stuff. Y también déjame saber how many resources are you using right now to learn Spanish? How many am I using? I'm using a lot. I have, let's see, podcasts, I have YouTube, I have música, libros, mis amigos, ¿qué más? Los sitios webs, un poco de todo. Yeshua says it's been easy sometimes, but forming long sentences confidently gets intimidating. Yeah, it can be a challenge. But the more you practice, it gets a lot easier. Te lo juro. Jonathan Gonzalez, Spanish is my first language. I have been learning English for 1 year. Oh, wow. Nice. 1 year, and I don't speak that fluent. By the way, it's rewarding that you speak Spanish very well. Muchas gracias. Bueno, you don't digo está bueno, pero estoy mejorando cada día. Siempre estoy practicando, pero me alegro mucho que has aprendido o que has empezado a aprender inglés. Porque yo sé que se puede complicar muy rápidamente. Because no, it's not really phonetic like Spanish at all. No, no es un idioma muy fonético y no pronunciamos cada letra como en español. So now I started to realize after learning Spanish, like how difficult like learning English is for Spanish speakers. Because yeah, it is difficult because we don't pronounce all of our letters, and yeah, a lot of times they look at a word and it's not pronounced anything that it's not pronounced the way that it looks in any way. Entonces yo entiendo su sufrimiento. Definitivamente, yo entiendo. Porque actualmente estoy aprendiendo francés y igual que inglés. No se pronuncia como cada letra, no es un idioma fonético. It's not a phonetic language. French is not either. And yeah, it's very difficult to get the pronunciation correctly because you look at a word and you can't. It's like hard to pronounce like letter by letter like you can in Spanish. So like French and English are very similar in that instance. O como en ese aspecto. Pero let me know now how many resources are you using to learn Spanish? How many resources are you using and what resources are those? Let's see. For me, I've just counted. I forgot already. Los libros para mí, la lectura. I love to read. I have books. I have YouTube. I have music through Spotify or YouTube. Was that 3? I got podcasts I use. My friends that speak Spanish, I use them as well. I like to say like their resources. It sounds kind of weird, but yeah, I kind of use that sometimes. That's 4. I don't watch too much movies or TV shows that much. ¿Qué más? Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, me mismo. I talk to myself in Spanish. I'm kind of like my own little resource. ¿Qué más? Websites too. That's like 6. I like to use Reddit a lot for learning Spanish too. It's really helpful. But I don't use them like all at the same time. They're kind of just whenever I want to use them, I use them. So it's been pretty easy to manage all those. Jonathan Gonzalez says, I am self-taught. I have learned just using YouTube. Oh, really? Qué excelente. Solamente con YouTube. Excelente. Un recurso gratis. Bueno, tienes que pagar para su teléfono o para el Wi-Fi, pero aparte de eso es gratis, ¿me entiendes? La plataforma, no tienes que pagar para utilizar la plataforma, por lo menos. So Jonathan says, I am self-taught. I have learned just using YouTube and reading basic books in English. Okay, excelente. So those books that you're reading, are they those books como esos libros como son escritos para principiantes? Like, are they made specifically for English learners, like beginner English learners, or are they like just like regular books, como libros regulares, como novelas, libros de ficción? Oh, okay. What kind of books are you? What kind of English books are those? Also, if you look in la cajita de descripción, I heard somebody say that for the first time. I never used it before. So la caja is a box, and la cajita is just like a little box, I guess. Una cajita. La cajita de descripción. If you look at the description of this video, I have decent amount of resources there for French and for Spanish. ITALKI discount too if you've never used it before. You can't have the discount if you've already used it before. Pero bueno. Definitely check those out. And some books that I just recently bought, I threw those in the description box as well. And some other resources like a Spanish verb book, Spanish grammar book, Spanish dictionary, and some other and a few beginner books too. So check out the caja de descripción también. Check out the description box. Okay, Yeshua says, when did you feel you could somewhat have small conversation in Spanish with Spanish friends with a few months or a year, not fluent, but a small conversation? It's hard to say because for me, like, as far as like my learning journey has been, it's been like kind of off and on. So started in high school or middle school, went to high school, had some like few classes, then stopped for like 6 years, then had like a year and a half of in college. So it won't like line up like exactly like with you if you just started like 2 months ago because you just studied consistently. For me, it wasn't studying consistently. But I will say after I already had the basics down, as far as just like understanding like the basic grammar and having some vocab, I was able to make some sentences and things like that. And I could have some conversations like right after I got out of college, but it wasn't anything long. It wasn't really me saying that many things. It was mostly just like some phrases that I memorized. But other than that, it wasn't really like me putting in that much work or me saying a lot. I was saying like the most basic and yeah, not that much. Actually, when did you feel like you could somehow customize the Spanish for a few months? Yeah. So I mean, it really just depends on. I mean, you can always have like a small conversation with someone. Let's say even if you know 20 words and 5 phrases, you can do a lot with that. So you have your basic. So sorry, I don't have like the clearest answer as you can tell. I don't have the clearest answer. It's kind of hard to say. Just because I haven't been like learning. I wasn't learning consistently, but I would have to say like out of college as far as small conversations. But yeah, like I said, if you just have like some very basic, or not basic, basic, just like the normal little conversational starters, hola, cómo estás, cómo se llama, de dónde es usted, a qué dedicas, qué es lo que te gusta, hacer en tu tiempo libre. Just like simple 5 or 6 phrases, you can still learn a decent amount and start a conversation with someone, even though you can't say like anything else. Like at least that's a start, and you'll get a response from someone. So like, you really don't have to know a lot at all to have a conversation. I'll even say that even if you don't know any phrases at all and you just have like some words, you can still do it. I mean, I've done that before with French actually, but yeah, even with Spanish, when I first started to speak a little bit, and when I went to Mexico, I couldn't have like real full conversations, but I just, I said whatever, I read whatever, whatever I could. Oh, I read, I mean, I said whatever I could. So, I could say some simple things about food, ordering food, but nothing, really in depth. I could, say where I was from, like some things that I liked. I can say like why I was there. I was like, oh yeah, like como estoy de vacaciones. Um, yo quiero esto. It's like super basic stuff, but you do not need a lot. I like to say you do not need a lot at all for having conversations in Spanish. I always promote that. Other people may say, that you need a certain amount of vocabulary or whatnot, but you really don't. You can have 20 words that you know, and you can still start a conversation. Again, you're not going to understand everything, or you maybe not understand everything, and they won't be able to understand everything that you're saying. But it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because you can still have it. That's the main point I'm trying to say. ¿Qué tal, Sean? Muchas gracias por unirte. Jonathan, books such as The Black Cat, Annie with E, reading really helps when it comes to acquiring vocabulary. Estoy de acuerdo. Totalmente. I love reading for acquiring vocabulary. Acquiring, adquiriendo. That word is really hard. That's really hard for me to say in Spanish. Adquiriendo, 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 algo así. Adquirir. Jonathan, ¿ya leíste 100 años de soledad de Gabriel García Márquez? I like saying his name. No, I have not read that yet. No he leído aún 100 años de soledad de Gabriel. Ganó un premio Nobel de literatura. So I have read his other book. Como yo había leído su otro libro. ¿Cómo se llama? La Mala Hora. So I read La Mala Hora last year. I didn't like it that much, though, honestly. Como no me gustó mucho La Mala Hora, porque para mí me pareció muy complejo para aprender qué se trató y como los puntos, los puntos claves de la historia, como no entendí mucho de qué se trató el libro, porque para mí como paso demasiado entre escenas. Es como hablan por un artículo en una escena y luego cambio la escena muy rápidamente y fue otra historia, como con otros personajes. So like, I really understand that the book, I got understood the book that much. Like I understood that there were many different conversations that were happening and things like that, but it was hard for me to follow along. I didn't like it that much. Sean Composer, tengo una pregunta. Afuera. De recursos para español, ¿cómo aprenderías un idioma que no es tan parecido a inglés como español o francés? Creo que aprenderé hebreo, pero es muy difícil. Creo que aprenderé hebreo, pero es muy difícil. So the first thing I would say is just learning any kind of language is going to be difficult. So I would just como aceptar este hecho. Like learning a language is going to be difficult. So como si no es tan parecido a inglés, como eso no es un problema, como el proceso todavía va a ser lo mismo básicamente con cada idioma. Vas a aprender de la básica, de la gramática, vas a estudiar cómo crear frases, cómo conjugar verbos, en cuanto a la gramática, like for grammar, the grammar, como tienes que aumentar la cantidad de vocabulario que sepas. You have to increase, the amount of vocabulary that you know. ¿Y qué más? ¿Qué más tienes que hacer? Apart from that, you have to, figure out how to make sentences in the language. Then como tienes que aprender cómo pronunciar. Entonces, como el alfabeto, los sonidos de las letras del alfabeto. You have to learn, the pronunciation of the letters of the alphabet. So that will help you, with, pronouncing the different sounds. Of course, with Hebrews, like Hebrews like really different as far as it's like more from what I've seen. of course, like the letterings or like the letters of the alphabet, like fairly different from English. Um, Como like el proceso es básicamente lo mismo, es lo que yo diría. Like the process, is basically so like the same, but in this case with like Hebrew, right? Like you're if you live in the United States, then like maybe like the culture, maybe very different behind it, or it's like very distinct in comparison, like to here, like Israel and whatnot. So like, that might maybe a challenge because there's a lot of culture that's behind like learning a language. So you would have to like learn a lot of like the cultural aspects, I would think too, like behind all the letters and different words and things like that. Because what I've heard is like there's a lot more there's a lot more like there's like a lot of messaging, like same thing with Arabic. Like there's a lot of like messaging behind the words and things like that. With any language, but from what I've heard, like from those languages, like to like Hebrew and como hebreo y how do you say Arabic? Arabic, Spanish, Arabia, something like that. Arabic as well. O sea, como el proceso es casi lo mismo. Quizás como los recursos que utilizarás serían diferentes, quizás, no estoy seguro, en comparación con español o francés, porque hebreo como no están aprendido en los Estados Unidos específicamente, entonces quizás en esa forma sería diferente. But, maybe you could like go, use ITALKI tutors as well. Árabe. Thank you, Mopas. ¿Qué dije? Yo dije Arabia. No tengo ni idea. Creo que aprendería hebreo, pero es muy difícil. Pero sí. Yo sé cómo aceptar. Aceptar que este próximo idioma que aprenderías va a ser difícil. You just have to like accept that fact. It's going to be difficult. Yeshua says, thanks so much. I literally say Spanish and Hebrew every day. Oh, you're going to go and do Duolingo. Duolingo is like really good. I like using Duolingo, especially as a beginner. Yeshua says, my coworkers and in-laws also speak perfect Spanish. You think that would help increase my speed for learning Spanish? Claro que sí. Like, if you are, como si estás con la gente, if you are, with other people who speak Spanish, you'll definitely learn, I would say, you definitely learn, fairly fast when you have Spanish speakers that are around you all the time, because it's different. Let's say like for me, for example, if I'm just, I can learn a lot in my home. I mean, I did learn Spanish. I did learn how to speak fluently from my home, of course. But it's still, I would say it can be even like faster if I was always around Spanish speakers, because then you get to ask them questions. You're practicing your speaking skills. You're increasing your listening comprehension, which you can still do at home. But if you're around them, it's just, that interaction is different. So every time you're having a conversation with a Spanish speaker, that's always going to be different from watching a movie or TV show in Spanish, listening to music in Spanish, listening to a podcast in Spanish, watching a YouTube video in Spanish. So it's not like those things are bad, in any way. Of course, like I said, I got fluent, basically being in my home for the most part. Let's see here. What's it saying? But yeah, definitely, being able to be around other Spanish speakers a lot, como te llevaré muy lejos. It will definitely take you really far. How come the word como is used in so many ways? Because así como es. Oh, like right there. Así como es. Es así. Yeah, it's used a lot. Buenas. Mopas. Yo he aprendido y mejorado muchísimo por Discord. Discord. I've been on Discord a little bit. Pero porque no hay hispanohablantes en vivo. Y ahí hay un servidor chévere con miles de personas amables, pacientes y de buena onda. Qué excelente. Y estás aprendiendo, espérame. no hay hispanohablantes. Entonces yo asumo que estás aprendiendo inglés. Si no me equivoco, dígame. And for those who are joining, let me know where you're from, de dónde es usted y por cuánto tiempo ha estudiado español. How long have you been learning Spanish for? And let me know what resources that you are using to learn Spanish as well. Day in a day, donde. See, that's like the other hard part. Para mí, como siempre me complica escribir y hablar con mis amigos en español por chat. Por chat y por como por text y como hablando a través del teléfono, porque se corta así, se corta las palabras. Day and a day es donde, o por ejemplo, like K in Spanish is como Q, es como Q, or sometimes it's like Q or it's K también. So texting for me in Spanish is like really difficult. Like a lot of times I don't understand what my friends are saying. It's really funny. Like written Spanish through text is really different. It's fairly different from speaking like with my friends. It's really different the way that my friends text in Spanish is really interesting. I'm trying to see if I can find a text right now. But usually I'm confused when my friend texts me. Like one of my friends, he texted me. He said, "Quiero dar una vuelta. ¿Con quién está ahí?" I was like, "What?" What you're saying was like, "Oh yeah, like I want to come." Basically, like I want to come, like where you're at. And then he's like, "Oh, with like with who are you with?" But like he didn't say it like directly at me. He said, "Con quién está allá?" So I was like, "Who's you?" I'm like, "Who are you referring to?" He was referring to me. So that was kind of different. He didn't say like "Con quién estás?" He said "Con quién está?" Alabama. Qué excelente. Pa' qué, curioso. Alabama went to learn Guatemalan Spanish. Oh, okay, so it was hard to find Mayan researchers. A lot of them speak Acateco. I don't know that one. I have one friend from. I said French. I was trying to say I was trying to say friend. Then I said femme. One friend who is Guatemalan. I don't know if he knows any. I don't think he knows any of the native languages of Guatemala. But that's definitely something that I want to get more into. I want to get more into the native languages of South America because I know that there are a lot, and it definitely, obviously, as you can tell, or if you don't know yet, obviously, that a lot of the native languages, South America. I mean, all throughout. I mean, all throughout the Americas, have a big impact on have a big impact on the languages, Portuguese, Spanish, English. So it's very interesting. Okay, pick que sabrón Guatemalan Spanish Creole. Okay. Yeah, I have no idea about Guatemalan Spanish. I should see where I can find some of those resources for like learning native languages. I mean, for me, let's see what I've the only. I mean, yeah. Besides YouTube, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure you can like find some books somewhere, but I don't know where you would find those books at. Or you can, ask some Spanish speakers like in your community or something like that, where you can find some resources like that. I guess. Other than that, I don't know. Or maybe go on ITALKI and ask like one of your tutors. Ask a tutor where you can find the types of resources. I'm pretty sure it's like someone on there could find out. Facebook, Reddit, algo. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, no, I've never had any book. Or at least I've never seen a book. Like I don't know if you would see that in Barnes and Noble or anything like that. Usually in Barnes and Noble, I don't get that many books in Barnes and Noble. But yeah, I don't know if they would have that anywhere. Let's go to Google. Let's see if they have that in Google. I want to know. Let's see, native Guatemalan language. There we go. Look at that. It pops up right away. Native Guatemalan language. There are 25 languages spoken in Guatemala. Wow, that's a lot. Spanish is the official most spoken one. "22 different Mayan languages," according to what's this? Wikipedia. Who knows how accurate that is? Not sure. Indigenous languages, 2 non-Mayan languages, indigenous language. I've heard of Garifuna. I've heard of that before. I thought that was. Is that in? No, is it Panama? I don't know. Not sure. Personally, every language is different journey. Use different resources. The most include YouTube as a platform for some of the resources. Exactamente. You said that perfectly. You said that perfectly. I like that a lot. It's a very good point, and it's kind of you actually took what I was going to talk about. No, like one thing I did want to say was like with the resources specifically, it's going to be different. Like you said, it's going to be different for every language. I like to say as well that it's going to be different for every single language learner. So just because like you have a friend or you see someone on YouTube or you see me or something like that, like I'm using a certain resource or one of your friends is using a certain resource, that doesn't mean that you have to use that resource as well. But like there's so many different things out there, and the reason why you can't just take someone else's resources and use it as well is because everybody has their own language, their own learning style as well. So that's why that is important as well. So that's why that is important as well. What's I saying? These are the crucials. Everybody has their own learning style. So just because someone uses music or something like that doesn't mean you have to use music as well. I know there's a lot of people who don't like using tal cual concuerdo. Yeah, that don't like using music at all. I'm like, how do you not use music? Like I listen to music every single day, all day long. I'm always singing along to to music in Spanish. But other people, they don't use music to learn a language, or they don't use music to learn Spanish. For me, that's what I use a lot. Um, I know, like actually one of someone I know, one of my friends, she doesn't like using flashcards, and I'm like, how you not use flashcards? I like using flashcards, but for me, for example, there's people who love audiobooks. I don't like audiobooks at all. I will never use one of those. I don't like. I'd rather read a physical book because I'm used to it. I can take notes on my book. And plus, I like to have like non-technology time where I can, not be on a computer, not be on my cell phone, and reading a book. Reading a physical book like this one. I haven't read this one yet. I'm going to read it sometime this year, hopefully. Yo no soy tu hija, tu perfecta hija mexicana. I've heard really good things about this book, so hopefully I'll get to it this year. I better get to it. But I like to read physical books because I get to take a lot of notes. So yeah, non-tech time. I don't know what to say. That's not the right wording for it. Non-tech time. But yeah. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, reading. Yeah, reading physical books. I won't ever listen to an audiobook. It's weird. I mean, I don't like listening to audiobooks. I do like listening to podcasts. I don't know if you consider it the same exact thing, but I don't like audiobooks because I can't like follow along. Like with podcasts, I can follow along, but with an audiobook, I am actually like with books, I'm actually trying to, remember all the details or try to remember as many details as possible. But with an audiobook, like unless I'm sitting like here, I don't have anything else on. I could probably learn some. I could probably learn or probably understand and comprehend things a lot better and be able to follow along if I had nothing else on. But if I'm like walking around or washing dishes or whatever the case may be, working out or something like that while I'm listening to an audiobook, I'm not going to pay attention. That's not happening. I'm not going to remember anything. Ey, 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 oh, tanto tiempo. No puedo entender la música ahora. No, pero no se trata de entender la música, pero es más, te hace más relajado o relajada. No sé, te llena con gozo, te llena con felicidad. Así es el impacto de la música en el cuerpo. Hay muchos beneficios de escuchar la música. Entonces, no tienes que entender la música, se siente la música. Como, por ejemplo, cuando estás bailando, por ejemplo, no se trata de entender la música, solamente es como escuchas la música y bailes y dejas que la música te toca y te mueve. So like with music, it's more about like just feeling it really. That's what I can say, especially for dancing. Poco a poco, sigue aprendiendo, claro. Y también sigue la clave, sigue la clave. Sigue la clave. For, para todos que están entrando, que están uniendo en este video en directo, for those who are coming in, make sure that you like this live stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel, suscríbete, and also let me know in la cajita de chat aquí in the chat box here. Let me know what resources you are using to learn Spanish, or if you're learning other languages besides Spanish, let me know what resources you are using in general. I'm using my friends who speak Spanish as a resource. To learn Spanish, I use books, as you just saw. I like to read a lot of books. Currently, I am reading 2 different books, actually. 2 different books. Ay, Dios. Well, I need to finish this one, Fundación, but I've been very slow on this book, so I like to read a lot as a resource. I'm trying to read every single day. Let's see. ¿Cuántas páginas he leído? So about 73. So I've read about 73 páginas, about 73 pages. This book has how many pages? It has 259, so it's not too bad. But I've been a little slow on that. But I like to read a lot for learning Spanish. It helps me out a lot in many different ways. I don't want to talk about all of them right now. Actually, that's a good video. I don't think I've talked about in a video yet why I'm reading. So, I have, but not like one dedicated video. So I think I'm gonna do that. ¿Qué más? I like to watch a lot of YouTube videos, of course. I'm on YouTube right now. YouTube videos, books, podcasts, música, música, Spotify. I said YouTube videos. Oh yeah, the radio. I like to use the radio too. I'll use the radio. Listen to that usually. Mostly every single day when I'm driving. ¿Qué más? Para mí. Podcast. I haven't watched too many movies and TV shows, but I'll put those on the list too. I don't watch those all the time. But I love me some telenovelas. Websites. And ¿qué más? Websites. Oh yeah, applications, of course. Applications, websites. So a decent amount of things. but they're all manageable. Not too much, not too little. Perfect quantity for me. ¿Cuál es el recurso favorito? Oh, that's a really hard question. That's a very hard question. Sean asked me, what is my favorite resource? Wow. You know what? I don't know if I can choose. I don't know if I can choose. La mejor recurso. Yeah, it's hard to say, right? I mean, like each resource I have, they have their own specific uses. So yeah, it's hard to say. That's hard. Because like I said, I use like reading books for many different things. I use, listening to the radio in Spanish for many different things, many of my goals. And I like using all of them. TV shows, I like using, movies and TV shows. I have like many different goals that I can achieve with those. YouTube, of course, many of them. If I had to choose, si tuviera que escoger solamente un recurso para aprender español, el mejor recurso. Ay, Dios mío, qué complejo. I guess I would have to say YouTube, I suppose. Just because there's like literally content on every little thing. But at the same time, there's content that you can read too on every single thing. So you see what I mean? Like I can watch YouTube videos on many different things, but then there's books, there's instruction manuals on how to do many different things in Spanish. So yeah, I'll say YouTube or reading. Both are very helpful. Y tú, cuéntame, por favor, Sean, ¿cuál es tu recurso favorito? Mopas, for English, I just watch a lot of videos since I was like 10, so I guess I acquired most of my immersion, and thanks to the sponge-like brain we had that at age. Oh, que excelente. That's pretty good. Just watching videos, that's pretty good. Mopas, opino que no hay mejor recurso, pero mejor concuerdo que sí haya sería YouTube. Para que no se puede aprender un idioma utilizando solamente un recurso, claro que no. Se aprende mezclando el aprendizaje de cualquier recurso. Exactamente. So, Mopa says, how to interpret that? I think that I think that there is not the best resource, but I agree that it would be YouTube because se puede aprender, because to learn a language, to be able to learn a language, because you can't learn a language just by using one resource. You learn by mixing different methods of learning or different language learning resources. Y Yarel Mason, do you currently practice speaking Spanish every day? Yes, I do. Claro que sí, siempre, cada día. No hay un día que pase que no estoy hablando español como un loco. Siempre, cada día, constantemente, sin cesar. Sean, ¿qué opinas usando Chat GPT para aprender? I think it's a good resource. I've not used it yet. I've seen some videos about it. I read some articles about it, about language learners who have used it so far. It's pretty good. But I like to say that you can use literally anything to learn Spanish. So that's what I like to say. But I plan on making a video about that. But first, I need to use it first. It's like whenever I get time to, or make some time to use it and experiment with it a little bit, then I'll make a video on it. But what I've seen so far, it looks like it'll be like really, really good for almost like a Google, excuse me, perdóname. So you can use it, seems like you can use it almost like a Google in a way, where you ask questions and you can get like a lot of like reading prompts. So I think it would be like really good for learning very specific topics, and then also like practicing like speaking and things like that, and just being able to have like a lot of resources on a lot of like reading material for different topics. I think that could be really good for like a lot of prompts and things like that. But again, I've only seen so much of it so far. Sean, composer, bueno, no te pregunte cuál es la mejor, pero tu favorito, no te pregunto, pero en este momento mi favorito es Spanish Dick. Sí, yo entiendo que me preguntó mi recurso favorito, pero también tiene que ver con el mejor también. Vaya cada día, impresionante. Bueno, no, para mí no es tan impresionante, pero es mi vida, es lo que yo hago. Es mi segundo idioma, entonces yo lo utilizo. Conclusion que Spanish es buenísimo. Yeah, like I Spanish. I use Spanish basically every single week. Like yesterday, I had to look up what wasp was in Spanish, so I looked it up on Spanish because I had no idea what it was, and now I learned that it is avispa. I mean Google too. I use Google all the time as well. I'm always googling like a word or a phrase or something like that. So also very useful. I guess I should say like music is my favorite. I love listening to music. Pero sí, yo hablo cada día, yo hablo cada día. Ok, déjame aclarar mi respuesta. Yo hablo con mí mismo constantemente. Yo hablo también con los demás, pero naturalmente, bueno, cuando está en casa, o cuando estoy en casa, yo hablo con mí mismo, como ahora mismo, pero técnicamente estoy hablando a mi computadora, a ustedes a través de este chat, pero siempre estoy hablando con mí mismo, conmigo mismo o pensando en español siempre. Word reference, I like word reference. I don't use it as much as I just don't use it as much as Spanish did. Oh, yeah, as word for learning a bunch of languages. Yeah, for that. Yeah, I use like right now for French. I'm using. I guess it's like the iPhone version, but it's just iTranslate. iTranslate works pretty well. So I use that so I can translate in between French and Spanish. So that helps out a lot. So I don't have to use English. I just use the iTranslate application. I use that a lot. Déjame ver. Uso Spanish Dick para flashcards y a veces practicar conjugaciones. Yeah, I don't know. Spanish Dick like literally has a little bit of everything. So that's why I like using that a lot. Because they have, yeah, you got the translator on there, the translator, you have, like a dictionary, you have explanations of, oh yeah, you have phrases on there. It's like it has a little bit of everything. The verb conjugations are really helpful as well. You get the pronunciation on there, so like that's super helpful. You don't have to ask anybody. I use it all the time. Like every time you see like a YouTube short of mine, like a video short, or if you see me on Instagram or wherever, on Instagram or on YouTube, like with those little short videos, I'm always using Spanish Dick. Always. It's like before, I went like the last video I made, it was La Luna Llena. La Luna Llena. Before that, it was La Luna Llena. Before that video, it was what's the other one? Oh, La Mujer. But before that, it was I don't remember. I mean, all the videos for the most part, like any video I make, and I'm using Spanish, I always have to go to Spanish Dick, so I make sure that I'm pronouncing things correctly. So like this case, I make sure like, oh, la luna llena. Like I forgot kind of what that was in Spanish, so I just looked that up on Spanish Dick, and I was like, oh, that that's a full moon. So boom, very easy, very simple. And then yeah, they got their own like little course on Spanish Dick as well, so it really has everything. Cero Sasuke. Oh, interesante. Yo hago lo mismo, pero en inglés para practicar. Yeah, it's really helpful. Ya veo eso. También cuenta, se nota que practicas mucho porque tienes un acento increíble. Muchas gracias por eso. Yeah. Ceros es en español, pero yo voy a traducir al inglés. Very interesting. I do the same thing, but in English para practicar. Y perdóname, sorry if my voice keeps going in and out. I've been like trying to get over a little cough, and like sneezing and stuff like that. Creo que hay como polvo en el aire y algo así, but I keep, yeah. If you hear my voice coming out, like going in and out, it's because of that, because I've been trying to get over this little cough. Pero bueno, déjame ver. Mopa says, oh, haha, ya veo. I see. That, wait, oh my gosh, I should not be an interpreter or a translator professionally. That always, también cuenta. También cuenta. It's like, oh, that tells. See that you practice a lot because you have a great or incredible accent. You translate English for English speakers, please. Eso es lo que yo hice. Sí, siempre estoy practicando, siempre. Maybe, I mean, before the funny thing is, like 2, 3 years ago, let's see, 3 years ago, in 2020, like in 2020, like when I first started to have like more conversations with Spanish speakers, like I hated practicing speaking Spanish. I did not like speaking Spanish at all, actually. Like when I first started my journey here, I did not, because it was very difficult for me to do. It was very difficult for me. I mean, still it's challenging, but obviously a lot less in comparison to 3 years ago. But it was very difficult for me to really create any sentences 3 years ago, because it was just I had a lot of grammar in my head, but like nothing was clear. And of course, it's my first time really starting to speak in Spanish, so I really had no idea how to do it. So like it was just very challenging. And then of course, just being able to write in Spanish, be able to read in Spanish is not the same thing as being able to speak Spanish correctly. So I had to figure that whole thing out. So it was very difficult for me, and that's why like it took me a lot longer than I think, a lot longer than it should have for me to like speak fluently. Like I think I could have done a lot. Of course, I could have done a lot faster if I had the knowledge that I have right now. Of course, and if I was like around Spanish speakers more, and if I practiced more. But like I stopped. Like I prevented myself from like progressing because I just did not like. I did not like practice. I did not want to practice speaking at all. Yeah, it was challenging. Like, it really frustrated me. I felt really frustrated because I could not say the sentences correctly, or I was really confused. I didn't know how to say something, or I kept repeating the same words, lack vocabulary, a whole bunch of different things. And my pronunciation was very terrible. But yeah, I've practiced a lot over the past few years, to say the least. You definitivamente, yeah, you definitely should. You should definitely start learning Spanish or whatever language that you are currently trying to learn. Sean, ¿cuántas palabras crees que deberías saber de tener un nivel avanzado? Según Spanish Dick, aprendiste 1566 palabras, y de todas mis listas son 4030 palabras. So that's a good question. So Sean asks, how many words you think you need that you should know to have a advanced level? I do not have an answer to that. I'm very sorry. I do not have an answer to that. I really don't know. Because for me, it's less about. Like I said, I don't know. I'm not like a linguist or anything like that, or a teacher. So I don't have that number. So I mean, maybe there is someone in the language learning community that could answer that, but I don't have that answer. Un minuto. But for me, what I would say is it's less about what, like the quantity of words that you are learning, and it's more about how you use them. And for everybody who's coming in right now, let me know. Um, Let me know. Let me know how long you've been learning Spanish for and where you're from. And also, don't forget to like this live stream and share it with someone if you do. Share it with someone as well if you would like. If you know anybody who would like who'd be interested in being part of this live stream as well. And check out the all the resources that are in the description box of this video as well. I have a decent amount that are in the description box, so definitely check those out. But yeah, to return, volviendo a tema de la cantidad de palabras. So yeah, I definitely say to be more advanced. It's less about like acquiring more vocabulary is a part of it, but that's something that you're always going to be doing. It's not going to like it. How do I put this? ¿Cómo te explico? ¿Cómo explico? It's not like for me. I know from now on. Okay, no. Let me rephrase this. You're always going to be learning, new vocabulary for the most part, indirectly or directly. But as far as becoming more advanced, I would say definitely it is more about how you actually use the words that you have right now, because you can play with a lot of words. Like you can there's so many different ways to ask one question, for example, or there's so many different ways just to say one sentence. So that's kind of what I mean by that. Or instead of saying I think of a good example. Okay, maybe later. But for example, you can say one sentence one way, but then I would say, if you want to make that sentence, for example, be more advanced, then you would just swap out a few different words, or maybe you would conjugate differently, or something like that. So that's what I mean about it's more about how you are using the words versus just gaining more words. Like getting more words is a part of it, but if you don't know how to actually use those words in sentences, or how to create sentences with those words, it doesn't really matter that much. I'm mean, sorry, it does matter but I'm talking about as far as like speaking more advanced, at a more advanced level. For me personally, that is what I'm doing right now. I do have like a decent amount of vocabulary, but now I'm just trying to play a lot more with my sentences. So I definitely try to change up what I say. I try to say things differently than what I normally do. Say things that are more challenging to me, but like kind of to your point, I do right now. I'm learning more. Like right now, I'm learning a lot more connector words, or I like to say like more like connecting type words. So como a medida que, en cambio, como por lo menos, en cuanto a, así que, because those types of words like really make the difference in the way that you speak, in the way that you connect words together, and things like that. Afortunadamente, desafortunadamente, para que sepas. Those different types of connecting words, because I've lacked a lot of those different types of phrases, but now that I'm including them more in how I speak, or when I'm speaking Spanish, I know that I'm definitely a lot more advanced than I used to be. And for example, I'll give you another example. Like I used to say para a lot. In every single sentence, I used to say para and then un verbo. So para dormir, para dormirte, para gozar, para vivir, para nadar, because I didn't really know any other way to make that sentence. But now I know there's a lot of other ways that I can say different sentences. So now I want to say para nadar, I can say para que nade, or I'll go. I see like I can say like a subjunctive, or I can just change. I can take out the para completely and use a completely different word. So that's kind of what I mean. Texas. Oh yeah, you gotta know Spanish if you're in Texas. Spanish is everywhere. Mopas. Hold on. But okay, it's more about practice and checking words off list. Mopa says, in my opinion. If you are from Texas and I haven't started learning Spanish yet, so yeah, definitely start. It's very helpful. Sean Composer, me parece que necesito vocabulario suficiente para expresarte, pero mira, pues eso es a lo que me refiero, a lo que me refiero. La cantidad de vocabulario es como la cantidad de vocabulario que necesitas para hablar con un nivel más avanzado es muy subjetivo. Es muy subjetivo. Por ejemplo, acabo de darle mi propia o mi propia opinión de este tema, de la cantidad de palabras. Pero es posible que hay otros estudiantes de español o profesores de español o profesores de idiomas que van a rechazar mi opinión porque piensan en otra cosa o promuevan otra idea. Quizás hay personas o profesores o estudiantes eh, que se acuerdan con esta idea, que debería tener una cantidad de palabras específica para hablar más avanzado, pero yo no. Entonces es muy subjetivo. Afroamericano, eres like American afroamericano, como yo. Doctor H. Black Pay. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to like say this in Spanish. PhD, 1.5 months. Okay, excelente. Actively took Spanish in middle and high school and college, but was to pass a class. Yeah, me too. I know how that is. Trying to learn it, and I'm in the DC area. Okay, are there a lot of Spanish speakers in DC? I have no idea. I don't think I've never been to DC before. And Dr. HP Black PhD, what made you want to learn Spanish more consistently or actively? Stephen Brown, hola. I think that you have to acquire vocabulary organically. I mean, it really depends, It really depends. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, like, it really depends on what you're doing. Like, if you're not around a lot of Spanish speakers, then, it can be kind of difficult, But I mean, I think we all learn vocabulary organically in some type of way if we are consuming content in Spanish. Like in some type of way, we are learning vocabulary just organically and not really having to put too much work into it. That's what I've realized, especially like when I started to have conversations in Spanish. For me, I stopped doing flashcards. I wasn't watching that many like movies and TV shows. I was watching, like less Netflix. Then I just started to learn more through conversation, and for me that was completely new because I wasn't having conversations before 2020, like ever. I wasn't having conversations in Spanish. So when I started to have conversations in Spanish, I started to realize that I actually started to learn more. I started to learn vocabulary, learn the meaning, learn the definition of it, learn the cultural explanation of it, like the cultural aspects of words and phrases through conversations. But then I was also remembering them. And that for me, that was like really weird. I'm like, wait, I'm remembering words like without studying and without being in a textbook, without studying flashcards, without watching movies. So for me, that was a completely different experience because I wasn't having conversations in Spanish. I was mostly just learning at home, which is like completely a different experience. I don't know why I was talking about that for. I just went on a rant. That happens a lot. Oh, more reactions. Ha estado aprendiendo español por una mes. Estoy de Cincinnati, Ohio. Okay, bienvenido. Le doy la bienvenida. Okay, excelente. So, more reactions. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but why did you start? ¿Por qué tienes un deseo para aprender español? Why do you have a desire to learn Spanish? Mobiles, I've been learning Spanish for 4 years now on my own. Oh, really? Que super. And I take it seriously enough. So my level isn't as good as it could have been. Entiendo. Sí, se pasa. Así es la vida. Así es la vida. Nos pasa a todos. Um, Cero Sasuke. I like that name. Tengo curiosidad. ¿Qué acento te gustaría aprender español? Bueno, lo primero, el acento dominicano, porque me encanta. Porque mi corazón ahora mismo está viviendo en la República Dominicana. Entonces, el primer acento en mi lista de acento es el acento de RD. Aparte de eso, el acento número 2 en esta lista es el acento español de España. Porque suena, no sé, suena diferente, suena muy distinto. Y también me complica reproducir o producir este acento. Y por esta razón me encantan los retos con los idiomas. Entonces, ya había aceptado los retos de los acentos. So, Cero Sasuke asked me what accent I would like to learn in Spanish. I like to learn the Dominican accent and also the, oh, wait. Yeah, the Dominican accent and also the Spanish accent. So, the accent from Spain specifically. Sí, qué guay. Mark Suarez, Pedrao Suarez. Hi, what's up? Hola, bienvenidos. Buenas noches, o buenos días, o buenas tardes, dependiendo de la hora. Pero see, like, I would love to learn those two accents. For me, accents are very difficult. So, yeah, accents are very challenging. I actually have not been practicing my accents that much. Like with the Spanish accent, I'm very new with the Spanish accent. So I have not been putting in that much work. Dominican accent, I use it from, I like my Dominican accent, I can just use it como yo podría utilizarlo como cuando sea más fácil. Más fácil, sin problema, porque es como mi acento natural, mi acento natural es lo que yo diría a la gente. So like my Dominican accent is like I can use that a little bit easier, but with the Spanish accent, I really have to think really hard, and it still like sounds terrible. My Dominican accent still sounds terrible, but it sounds a lot better than my Spanish accent. But yeah, Dominican accent is really fun, and I have like some Dominican friends, so like they usually speak with them and things like that. But for me, it's como que yeah, it's like the Dominican accent is it's like the easiest for me to produce. Just because I'm more familiar with it. I've heard it a lot. Been to RD dos veces. Santo Domingo, una vez, como en mi primera vacación, yo fui a Santo Domingo y mi segunda vacación yo fui a Samaná y también y yo regresé a Santo Domingo también. Súper, súper lindas ciudades de RD, de este país. Lamin Sherman, I took Spanish in high school and college, began to take it seriously when I found La Shua. La Shua. I keep, La Shua. I keep forgetting how to pronounce his name. During the pandemic, I'm from Maryland. Hey, bienvenidos. A lot of Hispanics here, mostly from El Salvador. Ah, really? I don't think I know. Yeah, I don't really know any El Salvadorans. I've met a few in my life, but I don't really know. I don't know any. I don't have any friends that are from El Salvador. Todo para la patria. Qué interesante. Y no sabía que estaba en RD, era acento español y también me gusta. Yeah, I was in RD. Hey, Jedi. Hola, hola. Hey, bro, yo aprendí mucho más rápido my second language cuando metí o estudié toda la gramática de inglés comparándolo con el español. I mean, cuando veo algo extraño de la gramática o estructura. Yeah, I think that helps me out a lot too. Like for me, when I'm like right now when I'm learning French, like with French, I kind of compare it a lot to Spanish, to Spanish grammar, and that's kind of how I learned the French because there are some similar grammar rules in between French and Spanish, but then some things are different too. But like like with with French, they have genders, genders for the nouns and adjectives, so that helps out a lot. And then they kind of have like the like the ba'a, like the IRA, they kind of have that as well. Or they do have that. So that's like really helpful too. So they have some similarities. So I like to compare the two to help you learn French. Comparando la gramática, como dijiste. Estoy bien. Excelente. Muchas gracias por preguntarme. Y vos, ¿cómo está usted? ¿Cómo está, Jedi? ¿Cómo está usted? Rechazado es un vocabulario que aprendí de un artículo en mi trabajo sobre los derechos de los inmigrantes y me lo ayudó a entender lo que dijo ahora. Ok. Sí, rechazar, rechazado. Un amor rechazado. I like saying that word. I only know that in El Salvador they say maje as bro, like Mexican way. Oh, I know that. Maje, that's an interesting word. Did I bien Lisa algo today, bro? No, I haven't really read anything today. Have I read anything today? No, I haven't really read anything today. I haven't gotten that yet. Or I haven't gotten that far yet, but I do need to read. Thanks for reminding me. Muchas gracias por recomendarme esto porque me toca leer. I definitely need to read my books today. I haven't done that yet, so make sure I won't slack with that. But I'll read my Fundación y mi otro libro que acabo de comprar. No me puedes lastimar. Es un poco triste el principio de ese libro. Yo no voy a hablar de las detalles de las primeras páginas de este libro. But yeah, this is like one book I just bought recently. No me puedes lastimar. I like saying that word too. Lastimar. No me puedes lastimar. So, yeah, my friend recommended this book. Como sobre la fortaleza, la fortaleza mental. La fortaleza mental y tú sabes, cómo proteger cómo proteger tu mente, like how to protect your mind, how to be, more mentally strong and things like that. Because yeah, he's been through a lot throughout his life. So he's like a speaker. He's in the military, United States military, and things like that. So he's all over the place. But I'm reading that. Then I'm also reading Fundación. I just finished my first French book, so that's kind of interesting. So that's kind of cool. Mopas, is it useful to say spelling in French? I'm interested in speaking it mostly, and I don't know. Knowing the spelling helps with the pronunciation as much as it does in Spanish. I mean, I would say yes, unless you're only learning from, I guess, like, unless you're only speaking to French speakers all the time. So like for me, I know I have to, but at the same time, it's not a phonetic language, right? It's not a phonetic language, so it's not like Spanish. It's more like English. It's more like English in the way that like you pronounce things. Like you see a word and it's just like that is not how you pronounce it at all. For example, like right in English. Okay, that's a good example. Let's do this. Right in Spanish is, or in English is this, like RIGHT. But why is it right? This is a really good example of like why English is so difficult for many people to learn, because it doesn't make any sense. Pronunciation doesn't make any sense. Why is right? There's a G there and the H there, but then you would think it should be like an E at the end. If anything, I would think like right should be pronounced as right, but it's not. It's pronounced as right, but you don't pronounce the G or the H. So just like that, like where French is like that too. So I think it's good to know the letters. I think once you understand more of the actual pronunciation rules, then it will make more sense. So that's why it'll be really, I think it'll be useful to learn like the actual spelling of the words. Because like for me, for example, right, if I open up my French book right now, I don't really know how to pronounce many of those words because I don't know the pronunciation rules. I don't know how to like read letter to letter, but with some words I can. Like I know aujourd'hui, and like I can kind of remember the letters in my the letters in my head, but I mostly remember it just by hearing it over and over again. So that's what I mean. But like if you're talking with French speakers, constantly, then maybe you wouldn't have to know like the spelling that much, because we learn a lot from speaking with other people, and we kind of just remember words and pronunciation that way. It really just kind of depends what you want to do. But for me, like for example, like I won't be able to just learn just strictly by listening to, I think, a lot of YouTube videos and podcasts and things like that. Like I need to tie it to like a word that I see, for a decent amount of vocabulary, just because I'm a complete beginner in the language. But yeah, and I'm still learning all the pronunciation rules and things like that. So like I'm not talking to French speakers like every single day. So since I'm not, I definitely need to learn actually more of the pronunciation rules. It makes more sense. Like for example, I know that like if there is an a or an acento sobre un a, or a b c d a, yeah, if there's like an accent mark over the a, that will change the pronunciation. Versus if there's not an accent mark over the a, then that'll also change the pronunciation. Or like if it's a liaison, you're gonna pronounce things differently. I can't think of a liaison right now, but it's like when you have like a consonant and you have a consonant in a adios vocal. I say it in English. I say vocal in English. English right now. Un vocal, dos vocales. But you know what I mean, like a vocal, and then a consonant is going to be like a liaison. So then you would actually like connect those letters together. Then that's how you would pronounce those two words combined. But if there weren't, then you would just separate those words. So like small little pronunciation rules like that with French have helped me out a lot. Have helped me out a lot. But like it's still like there's so many different things. Like I said, if I open up a French book right now, like I'm not gonna know how to pronounce like 95, I'll say like 97% of the words there, just because there's so many different pronunciation rules that I just don't know yet. Plus, I'm not like watching too many like YouTube videos and things like that. But the YouTube videos help out a lot. Shanka Bozer, en mi trabajo, quise aprender cómo se llama un hairnet. I don't know what that is either. Busqué desde que me dijo red decía, pero mis compañeros me dijeron red de cabello, una malla, y dos palabras más que follón. I have no idea. I've never thought about that word, honestly, in Spanish. How was your first iTalki experience? I'm nervous to book a lesson. I'm a shy person. Hey, I'm a shy person too, but I would recommend just do it. Yeah, just definitely just do it. My first iTalki experience was good, actually. It was like a few years ago. I wasn't expecting much. I knew nothing about the platform. I just did it like a little trial lesson, and then I did like 3 trial lessons, and I never used it for like another year. Like for me, it was like comfortable. I wasn't expecting anything. I just did it just for fun. I didn't know anything really about tutors. I never had a tutor before. So like for me, my first iTalki experience was just, I don't know, it's like normal, just like a little conversation, like it was over. Like it wasn't anything like crazy. But definitely just do it. If you have never taken iTalki lessons before, definitely, I have some videos on my YouTube channel you can watch. I mostly look very nervous. So don't be scared about that. That's because I was mostly nervous because I was, video recording. So mostly because of that. Yeah, but yeah, definitely check out. If you look in the description box, you can get a little discount for some iTalki lessons if you have never used it before. But if you have used iTalki, they give you like 3 trial lessons. But yeah, if you already used it before, then you'll be able to get like the discount or whatnot. But yeah, but definitely use it. I highly recommend it. Also in the description box, I have the names and the links to the iTalki website for 3 tutors that I have used, and yeah, 3 iTutors that I recommend that I have used before, and I've also have YouTube channels. YouTube channels. I have YouTube videos where I have my lessons recorded, with each of those iTalki tutors as well. So definitely check out the names, and check out the links for those iTalki tutors. 2 are from Spain, and then 1 is from Mexico. But I've had more lessons with the tutor from Mexico. Ah, thank you, Sean. Let's see. There's another one. We have right as well. So you have escribir and you have derecho or derecha. See, that makes zero sense. Why is English so hard? So now you understand why, why some non-native English speakers can get very confused when they are trying to learn English because our language, or not our, but the language doesn't make that much sense. Look at this, right versus right. It's just like, why? Why? Who made this language up? Makes no sense. Yeah, vowel, thank you. Mopas. Sí, eso es lo que me pasa siempre. Se me olvidó. Siempre estoy olvidando de las palabras en inglés, en mi propio idioma. Siempre me pasa. That's what happens. This is what has been happening after like learning French. I think about French, then I'm comparing French to Spanish, and I end up forgetting English, like basic English words a lot, or I forget Spanish. Yeah, red and red. Yeah, you got right and right. Then you have red and red. You have lead and lead. Spelled the same, two different words, lead and lead. I understand. I understand. Yo entiendo su sufrimiento. No puedo esperar para platicar con alguien. Creo que estoy listo. Hazlo, hazlo, definitivamente. No esperas más. I like that's a un chiste de alto calidad. Yes, I will blame the French for screwing with English. English went downhill in 1066. Love it. Mopa's bilingual. Bye. Adios. You become so bilingual that you start forgetting words from both languages. I'm going to be trilingual one of these days. So that's my goal right now, to become trilingual. If I can do that, then that'll be amazing. But I got to stop being so lazy. For me, the hardest part of learning three languages at the same time, well, I mean, technically, yes, but I'll say two languages at the same time. I'm not like not necessarily studying English like that, but with trying to study French and Spanish is putting more time to French versus Spanish, because obviously I'm a Spanish nerd. I love to learn Spanish all the time. I'm so used to learning Spanish, but now I need to dedicate more time to French, which I have not been doing. Not enough time. Like there's so many vocabulary words I don't know. Like I don't know the majority of the words, vocabulary words for like around the home. I don't know, just because I have not been. I should be learning like at least a few words every single day, and I have not for over the past year. I've read some stuff. It's been difficult. It's been difficult. But yeah, we're getting there. But yeah, don't follow my lead. But I definitely forgot just how to I forgot how to say I forgot again. Oh my goodness. I keep saying vocal, vocal. That's in Spanish. What's the English word? Vowel. I don't know. I keep forgetting that. Vowel. Anyway, see, French and English have a lot in common, each more than you think. Yeah, it really does. That's all like the beautiful thing about learning French for me is I'm learning that like there's so many French words that we say like here in the United States, and I always thought that they are English, but they're actually French. So, for example, petite, like petite is like small. Wait, petite. Like yeah, petite. Like we say petite a lot. We say petite a lot in the U.S. for like things that are small, right? Like a size, like the size of a body or something like that, right? But that's a French word, petite. What was we saying? I think like deja vu. Deja vu is a French word. What else? Deja vu. ¿Qué más? Yeah, there's other like French words too that like we say a lot, but they're French. I always thought like they're English, but they're actually French. I think of some other French words. Mm, La table. Lo, faussaire, courir, séjour. ¿Qué más? Partir, entré, leer, pensé. I don't know. I'll think of some other words later. Mobile says, let's see, first name like a common, they think. Mobile, je bois. That's so helpful to know as I begin my French journey. Merci. Je bois is I see, right? Je bois from no from boire from boire. Je vois. So that's a weird thing too. It's like I don't know how to pronounce VOIS in French. It's like strange. It's like bois. I'm not sure. Mark Suárez, Pedro Suárez, como hablante de español, puedo entender algo de francés, pero definitivamente el inglés le tomo prestado mucho a ese idioma. Así es, así es. Abe, I started educating Spanish. What's your advice for me? Depende de lo que quiera. What kind of advice are you looking for specifically? Déjame saber. But yeah, French is French is really annoying. French makes my brain hurt. Like all the apostrophes and accent marks. Like, I just when I'm reading, makes my head hurt. For all those who are joining, we're talking about a lot of different things, but I'm trying to get back to the best Spanish learning resources. So let me know what resources are you using right now to learn Spanish. Let me know what resources you are using, and also what is your favorite resource. Also, don't forget to suscribir a mi canal. Suscríbete a mi canal. Una de mis palabras favoritas, suscribir. Y como podría ver en mi lámpara, suscribir. So make sure you do that, and also like this live stream too. Por favor, si quieres, no tienes que hacerlo, pero me ayuda muchísimo. You don't have to, but it helps me out a lot. as like YouTubers say, helps out the algorithm, as the young kids say. Great question, Abe. Great question. So, do you think it's easy to get their accent easily? So, I think it really depends on who you are. I personally can't say if it's going to be easy or hard for you. Like for me personally, it's been very challenging to develop an accent. You know, really whatever, like whichever accent, it doesn't matter which one it is. For me, it's very difficult. I know from like other people I know too, it's very challenging. It can be a challenging thing. Like it's one thing to speak Spanish, but it's another thing to to add on top of that accent, because there's a lot you have to think about, when you're I'm gonna try not to go on a rant. But like there's already a lot that you have to do when you're speaking Spanish. You got to think of verb conjugations, what words you want to say, things like that. But then encima de eso tiene que hablar con un acento, y eso es más difícil para hacer a la vez. So that's a little bit more difficult to do at the time. But I think it really depends on what you're doing as well. I say it can be very simple to develop an accent, the more that you consume. So I would definitely recommend that. So like definitely, consume a lot of content. Like if you want to learn the Mexican accent, listen to a lot of, Mexican songs, Mexican telenovelas, movies, TV shows, music, whatever you can get your hands on, because that's really going to help you. Like the more that you hear it over and over again, the more your ears are going to adapt to it. You're going to start to understand more, number one. But then also it's going to be easier for you to imitate. So that's like what I try to do a lot. Como conocer el dominicano, eso es lo que yo intento hacer. Como yo tengo un voz en mi mente en que estoy enfocado, y yo intento imitar ese acento que yo tengo en mi mente. So I can hear like a lot of voices. That sounds right. I can hear I can hear. Okay, so let me say this a different way. I can remember like the voices from songs and movies and TV shows. That sounds a lot better. I can hear different voices from like different work from different music, songs, movies, TV shows, things like that. So I can hear it because I've always listened to songs from the Dominican Republic. Listen to a lot of bachata. I've watched a lot of TV shows in Dominican Republic. So since I've heard it over and over and over again, I don't have to listen to those things. I can still I can hear that, I can hear those voices, I can hear the accent in my head without even have to listen to anything. So then, once you get used to it, once you start be able to, you can hear that in your head when you think about it. That becomes a little bit easier for you to actually, to use that accent. If you don't know what it sounds like, you can't reproduce the accent. So that's like one of the first parts is just, getting used to that accent. And then after that comes the, reproducing it. And I think that's probably like the more challenging aspect of it. So one thing to be able to hear it in your head, okay, I can hear the accent in my head, but then, speaking Spanish and then using that accent at the same time, I think that's more the challenging time. But that I would say that comes more with practice, just practicing, using that accent. But that can be challenging too. And it's very strange too. It's strange to, of course, use an accent, speak with an accent in your second language or your third language, or how many other languages that you're learning. But definitely with time, consume a lot of content from that country, listen to it a lot, and practice using the accent. Good question. Camden Bode. ¿Cuál acento es tu favorito? Mi acento favorito ahora mismo es el dominicano, pero algo que me di cuenta recientemente es que no sé, me enamoro con cada acento de los países de hispano, de hispano, ay Dios, de hispano, de habla hispano, por la razón por la cual cada acento en esos países son distintos, no suenan iguales, tienen su propia forma de hablar, tienen su propia historia, y estoy obsesionado de la historia también. Entonces es un poco difícil para escoger uno, y también no tengo mucho conocimiento de cada acento. Yo digo que yo soy principiante en ese idioma. Además, no he escuchado a cada acento de esos países tampoco. Like, I haven't heard every single accent before. So for me, I can say right now, like, okay, I like the Dominican accent. I like the Dominican accent right now, but next year it could be I like the Spanish accent a lot more. And a lot of that has to do with, it's not just like how it sounds for me, but like it's about the culture behind the accent. It's about the culture behind the dialect, because I love that stuff. I love history. I love learning like all the linguistics behind like an accent behind the language. So that's why it's like hard for me to say which was my favorite, because like each one they're so different. Like Dominican accent is different from the Puerto Rican accent. Puerto Rican accent and Dominican accent is different from the Cuban accent. And I like to learn why. And there's a lot of reasons why that different countries speak that the way that they do. So for me, it's hard to say. Like right now, I like the Dominican accent, but this like last year I started to learn more about Spain and learn more about the Spanish accent, and that that really intrigued me. But it never did before in the past. But like now, I want to learn a lot more about the Spanish accent. But at the same time, there's many countries in South America that I've never been to before. There's many countries in South America that I have never studied before at all. That I haven't that I haven't really explored. I haven't studied anything about. Like I don't know anything about the country at all. Like I don't really know anything about Peru, and I don't really know anything about Cuba really either. I don't know anything about Cuba, Peru, Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, Chile, Ecuador. Like there's so many countries I haven't even explored yet. So this is a very long-winded answer. But right now, let's just say the Dominican accent. Abe, do you think Arabic is hard? Have you ever tried to learn it? I'm from Egypt. Oh, you're from Egypt? Oh, that's awesome, man. I don't know. I have never learned Arabic before. Arabic. So I don't know. But I do have a lot of Arabic speaking friends. I have some friends who are Palestinian. I have friends who from Egypt, or have friends who are from Somalia, friends from Jordan. So I have friends from like all over like the Middle East and things like that. So from what I've heard, from what they have told me, that it is very challenging to learn. But again, like I can't really speak on it. I don't know anything about the language. I've heard from many different people that it's very difficult to learn. But I like to say that learning any kind of language is going to be challenging. So it's kind of it's best just to accept that and just try it out. Sean Composer, ¿qué opinas usando inglés mientras hablando sobre cómo decir abi en lugar de pasatiempo? So are you talking about like mixing Spanish and English? Well, I'm in Texas, so that's what everybody does here. Siempre estamos mezclando español y inglés. Hasta el punto, mira, les voy a poner un ejemplo. So in Texas, you know what you can find? You can find washaterias. And in a washateria, it's just like it's like a laundromat. It's like a laundromat, I guess. But obviously that is not a Spanish word. So I mean, it's like a mixture of Spanish and English. I don't think that answers your question. But yeah, if you could come up, si podrías explicarme otra vez tu pregunta, porque ahora mismo no estoy tan claro en lo que me quieres preguntar. But yeah, I thought that was like super funny. We have watched that, yes. It's better than Mexican. Moonwalker. Your Spanish really good. I'm impressed. Muchas gracias. Moonwalker was really weird. I've been studying Portuguese for 3 years now. I can understand a lot of your Spanish. Super cool. Oh, really? Wait, are you learning Spanish and English? Oh, not Spanish and English. Are you learning Spanish and Portuguese, or are you just learning Portuguese? I do not. I'll say that I do not have a desire to learn Portuguese. Really, I really don't. I'm already confused enough. I don't want to be more confused because Portuguese looks way too similar to Spanish, and I don't know if my brain can handle that right now. Oh, okay. Me gusta hacer ejercicio es mi hobby. I mean, if you want to, like I said, like in Texas, it's like well, that's like that's like very standard mixing English and Spanish. It's super normal. So okay, moonwalk. So some of the rules are the same. And for all those who are joining, make sure that you guys, that all y'all, check the cajita de descripción para recursos para aprender español. So definitely check out the caja de descripción to see some resources, probably for French and Spanish actually. But I love for Spanish, and I have some books that I bought recently. So I have some of the books that I usually have in the description, but then I added some more from the recent books that I just bought as well. So definitely check out those. Also, if you would like to have better conversations in Spanish, I have created a Spanish conversation blueprint. So it's a little PDF with 5 different tips for having better conversations in Spanish. It's free, and you can receive that just by subscribing to my email list. And yeah, subscribe to my email list, and then you receive a little email, and you just download the little PDF. So you can definitely get that as well. And también, si quieres apoyarme, if you would like to support my channel, not just con tus ojos, not just with your eyes y los comentarios, but of course, I very much so appreciate those. You can also apoyarme. You can also support my channel monetariamente. I was just learning how to say that before this live stream. Monetariamente, so monetarily, by donando dinero. And by donating dinero, I just by donating money to my Buy Me a Coffee page, and that's also linked down in the description box as well. Para donar. Because all of your donations are very much so appreciated. And of course, just you being here is very helpful and supportive. You watching my videos, subscribing, all that good stuff, liking my videos. So thank you all very much so for the support. It is really helpful y muy motivadore, very motivating as well. Because sometimes I don't really want to do this. Not gonna lie. No les voy a mentir. No les voy a mentir. Sometimes I don't want to make videos. Like this morning, I woke up and I was like, you know what? I could be just sleeping, but instead I'm going to get up and record a video. So I did. So I do have some really fun videos for you guys coming this week. So I'm very excited this week and the following week. So I'm very excited to publish those videos, and I hope that you will like them. I'm very excited, very, very excited. Also, please share one of my videos or share all of my videos. I mean, how many that you want. Share my videos with your friends, your family members, sus seres queridos, sus familiares, novios, novias, esposos, esposas, primos, tíos, tías, desconocidos, no importa. Definitely share my videos as well on your redes sociales, on your social media as well. Definitely want to grow this channel more. So that's definitely a big goal of mine for this year. Definitely trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, 10,000 suscriptores, by end of this year. So I'll definitely get that. But mostly, I just want to grow the channel more. I want more people to get interested in learning languages. That's why I do a lot of things that I do. I want more people to. Soy soltero. Está bien. Tranquilo, tranquilo. I want more people to get interested in learning Spanish, get more people interested in learning languages. So yeah, that's why a big goal of mine for this channel. I definitely want more people to start to learn Spanish, because for me it changed my life. As you can see, having this channel, I would have this channel, if learning Spanish didn't really change my life. So learning Spanish has benefited me in so many different ways. Like I can't even imagine. It's like hard for me to even like explain how amazing learning Spanish has been for my life and how much has changed my life and made it a lot better. Not that it was bad or anything, but made it a lot better. Okay, Moonwalker, however, in Portuguese, they still use the future subjunctive. Oh, future subjunctive. Edward Lewis, hola, buenas. Hey man, how do you roll your R's more fluidly? I can do it, just sounds really forced when I do it. La R. Yeah, la R. So I've heard, it's kind of hard. ¿Cómo te explico? La R, ro. It's like, it has to do like a little bit with air. Like you put your tongue on the roof of your tongue, or your tongue on the roof of your mouth, como en el paladar, like that. Roof of your tongue, the roof of your mouth. I can't speak. The roof of your mouth. And then you just like do like a slight like blowing out a little bit. It's not a lot. It's just slight. So it's like, I like to say that when you're rolling your R's, it's not you like rolling your R necessarily. Like you don't have to do this like really fast. I think that's maybe like what some people think they're doing. Like you are literally just doing this with your tongue. Like you're trying to move your tongue really fast. It's not like that. It happens more naturally. Like what you're doing right there. You put your tongue to the roof of your mouth, and then you kind of just blow a little bit. Kind of like that. And you kind of just practice that. I'm trying to think of how other people do it. I didn't look up some other ways. That's like the best way I can kind of describe it. Definitely, like I would say, depending on what word or what letter that you're using, it's gonna be R. But what word you're using too can change the way that that you're pronouncing it too. So like rojo is gonna be different from carro, because you have different letters. In carro you have the A, then you have the O. So like your mouth is making a different motion versus just saying rojo, carro, rojo, or repollo, or ¿qué más? La carrera. So like the way that you're going to pronounce it I mean, technically it's going to be the same, but it's also very different depending on what letters are going to be on the side of that R or the front of it or the back of it. So that's a really good tip too. So kind of know what letters are right next like to that R, because that will make a difference in the way that you're going to pronounce that como la doble R. But apart from that, yeah, it's just a lot of practice too. Then just try not to force it too much. Try not to force it too much. Don't try to think about it too much as well. Yeah, so it's like for me, it's hard to explain because I've always had the capability of rolling my R's even before I started learning Spanish. I was always able to roll my R's. Like, I used to do it for fun, like that, like all the time. So for me, like it wasn't like that much of a challenge. Like for me, it's a challenge as far as, like I said before, like saying, actual, using the double R in actual words. That's different. But I always had the ability at least to do the double R. But then again, saying it in words is different. And then of course, when you're trying to say it fast and you're trying to say, and you're saying multiple sentences at a time, that's when it gets, even more difficult, because you're not just saying like carro and that's it. But como pero, como tú vas a decir, me toca rentar un carro. Like you have to say that with a sentence, and that can make it a lot challenging too. Yeah, other than that, yeah, unfortunately, I don't have too many tips for sounding way more fluently with that, besides, a lot of practice and try not to force it too much. And then, say it, then also just say it with different words. So, rentar, carrera, carril, I think what else? Rojo. So definitely practice it with different words, because with different words, it's going to be a little bit different. Jedi, ¿crees en los UFOs? UFOs. Do I believe in UFOs? I suppose, yeah. Unidentified objects. I suppose so. I don't know anything about them though, because I don't really watch the news on those. So I don't know. Moonwalker. Another thing that stands out is the personal infinitive conjugation exists in Spanish. It's a super convenient and easy way to conjugate verbs. It's much easier than using the presents and past subjunctives. Oh. Also, the sounds are a little bit more complex, especially for English speakers. Oh, I bet. It sounds very challenging. Un lápiz en los labios aquí en México se usa for sound de la letra R. Ah, okay. So okay, I definitely have heard that before. I've heard también yo había oído de la lápiz en la boca o en los labios para pronunciar los vocales mejor también. I've heard that before for to help you pronounce the vowels better. I've heard that that's also a good trick too. Like you put a pencil like in your mouth, and then you try to like that, and then I guess I don't know. It helps to let me try it. Let me get a pencil real quick. Actually, wait, it's so far away. Never mind, it's too far away. Do I have a pencil right now? I do not have a pencil right here, so I can't do it. Un lápiz en los labios. Aquí en México uses la letra R. Yeah, I think just because it helps to widen your mouth, and like when you're saying a lot of words in Spanish or a lot of letters in Spanish, you kind of you do have to do that. Like I was just doing like carrera. It's not carrera, and that for me it was very difficult. For me, for improving my pronunciation, you're like, how do I put this? Like it should make your mouth tired almost. If you're not used to speaking Spanish, it will make your mouth tired if you're like almost doing it right sometimes, or if you're practicing a lot and you're not used to it, because you have to move your mouth in ways that you haven't moved them before, like your tongue too. It's like it's different from English. So with carrera, I had to do that. I had to make my mouth really wide like that. Carrera, to be able to say that word correctly. Or like let's see, carrera, respetuoso, respetuoso. Like there's a lot of mouth movement there, and I'm always focusing on that when I'm speaking Spanish. But like even to do that is I'm mostly just thinking about like the actual letters, since I know how to sound them, how they should sound. I'm kind of just going like letter by letter. So re, spe, tu, o, so, or respetuosa. So it's a lot of mouth movements, basically, a lot of practice. Um, yeah, it's kind of challenging, but a lot of practice like that is what I've been doing. I always make sure that I open up my mouth, um, try to loosen it up, and that is what a lot of like native English speakers have to do, specifically because the way that we speak English, of course, is not the same way that Spanish speakers speak. So that's why it can be a challenge to number one speak Spanish, but then also just to speak correctly, just because it's so different. Me encantaría, like that too. Me encantaría, taquería, taquería. Enojo, enojo. Like your mouth isn't used to making all these, making all these sounds, making all these different movements. So that's why it takes a lot of practice for improving your pronunciation, but also just in general for improving the way that you speak Spanish, the way that you connect words, making the way that you connect sentences, etc. Y etc. Just takes a lot of practice. I don't know how we got to this, or how I got to this question. 30 minutes. Oh, he did it at 30 minutes every single day. But that's a really good method right there, because now you know that they actually do that in Mexico to practice the vowels. So I actually heard that. Yeah, I heard that from this one Mexican woman. She told me that as well. That like when she grew up, she did the same thing to help with the vowels. They would put a pen or a pencil in their mouth so they can pronounce the vowels a bit better. Also, see, we have about, I'll say, 9 more minutes. So once we hit the 2 hour mark of this live stream, yo tengo que ir. I had to leave. So cuando vamos a terminar este video directo, este live stream, en 8 minutos. Nos quedamos 8 minutos más. 8 minutes of this live stream before we end it here. But this has been a very fun conversation. You know what? Let me just actually no. First, let me know in the chat here what resources are you using to learn Spanish. Let me know all of them. What resources are you using to learn Spanish? And if you are learning another language that's not Spanish, let me know what resources you're using to learn your target language. And I'll be right back because I'm going to get a pencil, and then we'll see how this works with the vowels. Duolingo is a very good resource. All right, I got a pencil. I'm going to read a little bit out of the book. Not that book. Which one did I use? This one. And we'll see. Let's see how this works. Yo vivo en los Estados Unidos. Patty. Y buenas noches. X, Duolingo, watching Netflix in Spanish, like my favorite shows, favorite shows and movies. Okay, excelente. All right, let's see how this works. Okay. Hablemos entonces de la crisis humanitaria que está viviendo actualmente en su país, porque se han ido 3.004.000 venezolanos. ¿Cómo explica, cómo explica que hay tanta gente que hay muerto en sus hospitales y que no tiene que comer y que está comiendo de los camiones de basura? ¿Cómo me tocó verlo ayer? So I don't even feel anything with that. Probably because I'm not doing it correctly. But yeah, I don't know if that really helps for me specifically. But I'm gonna try that out. I'm gonna try it out some more. I will practice with that and see if it actually helps. I assume so. If they're doing it in Mexico, it must work. Is that all you do, Jedi? Is that all you do? ¿O simplemente practicas así? ¿O como lees un libro o solamente practicas los vocales como A, E, I, O, U y no más que eso? ¿Solamente practicas los vocales con la lápiz en la boca, en los labios, o lees algo? ¿Lees un libro, un artículo? ¿O qué exactamente? 30 minutos, pero sí, 30 minutos, wow, 30 minutes. Oh, okay. X Raz. So looking for books, check out the description box of this video, of this live stream, because I have some books there that may benefit you. But what type of book specifically do you like? Un parafo. Oh, really? Okay, so you do. So you actually do read un parafo. Okay, with a pen or a pencil in your lips. Okay, I will try it out. I will try it out and see how well it works. A text or a book, 30 minutes or an hour every day. Wow, that's a lot. Okay, let me list off. So I do have a list. I'm just gonna lift off list lift off. I'm gonna list off some resources that I know that are out there for language learners. Just like let's have a long list of different things. So for applications, I have Duolingo, I have ITALKI, I have Busu, I have Memrise. Memrise is like for flashcards. Anki also for flashcards. Babbel, HelloTalk, Tandem. Those last two, HelloTalk and Tandem, those are specifically for language exchanges. So that's where you can like find like a Spanish, like a native Spanish speaker who you can like practice speaking Spanish with. Now for websites, I have Fluent U. I've used Fluent U mostly for like articles about like really anything, language learning. You know, like explanations of like different cultural points, or things about culture for specific Spanish speaking countries, or just articles about explanation of grammar. So Fluent U is pretty good for that. Reddit's really good, of course. Google, I like Reddit a lot for grammar explanations. Discord, Duolingo, they have their own blog as well. Closed Master's good. Spanish Dict. LingoPie is new. That's like a new platform that I've heard recently, or just like this past year. StudySpanish.com, Rosetta Stone, LinkU. Then yeah, any kind of website really that you can turn into Spanish, or like you look up any kind of website in Spanish. So like como un banco, or como like seguros, like insurance in Spanish, servicios de teléfonos, like cell phone services in Spanish. I look those different things up in Spanish on Google all the time. Then I get like a Spanish website just for like building vocabulary. Then you got YouTube, you got music, you got Spotify, Apple Music. And of course, you can watch music videos on YouTube, listen to the radio in Spanish. I do that all the time. Having conversations just with Spanish speakers, like within your community, reading articles, Spanish books, podcasts, movies, TV shows. And of course, again, I already said this already, but like actual Spanish speakers. So you can find actual Spanish speakers on iTalki with a tutor. There's meetup.com, or you can, depending on where you live, they might have like groups for having conversations, or sometimes they have like online exchanges too, and those are usually free. Exchange applications, people that you meet in person, restaurants. So there are many there are many language learning resources. Brandon's Brain, hola, buenas noches. Been loving using baselang. Oh, okay, excelente. Okay, that's one I need to add to my list. because I have not used that before. But I have heard of it. I have heard of baselaying a lot, but I've never used it before. Jedi, here in Mexico, teachers use much with kids. Some have problems con la lengua de nacimiento. Ah, ok, entiendo. Sí, tiene sentido. Tiene sentido. Porque hablan de eso. Bueno, llegamos a las 2. Llegamos a 2 horas. So we have come to el final de este video directo. So we have come to the end of this live stream. Como de siempre, mil gracias a todos ustedes. Thank you very much. Thousand thanks para todos ustedes por uniendo a mi canal, a este video en directo, for joining this live stream. It's been a really fun conversation, as usual. Thank you very much for joining. Again, if you would like to support my channel, definitely like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and share my videos with your friends on your social media. Let's get this subscriber count up. Let's build this Spanish Blueprints community more. And definitely, definitivamente, turn on your notifications too, so you can be notified for new videos that I will be coming up. Y también, sí, gracias, donaciones. Then also, check out all the links in the description box of this live stream. Then, of course, of other videos, you can see some other resources too, and all my videos. But specifically for this live stream, I have some more resources. Oh. So yeah, muchas gracias a todos ustedes. Check out those links in the description box. And yeah, if you like to donate to support my channel, you can donar dinero, donaciones. Yo los recibo on my Buy Me a Coffee link my Buy Me a Coffee page, mi página de Buy Me a Coffee. And that's also in the description box of this video. So you can, donate whatever quantity of dólares, USD, that you would like. And then apart from that, definitely subscribe to my email list so you can receive your Spanish conversation blueprint. That's a free PDF that I created for everybody. So you can have better conversations in Spanish. I have five really good tips. 5 consejos para eso. Entonces, nos vemos muy pronto. We will see each other, or we'll talk a través del chat real soon here. I try to have live streams every single week, at least once a week. So either, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whenever I have time, I definitely try to hop on here. So yeah, nos vemos en el próximo video. I'll see you in the next video, y que tengan una buena noche, días o tardes, y que se vayan bien. Hasta luego. Have a good one.